3 Shadows of the Night. Terrifying tales that will chill your blood.
The Echoing Growth. 5 years ago, I was sifting through job postings on a local website in Spokane, Washington, when an ad stopped me cold. It wasn't what it said, it was how little it revealed. Position available. Exceptional pay. No benefits. Absolute discretion required. Below, a single email address. I was assistant manager at a comic book shop, but rumors of layoffs were swirling, and the odds of relocating to another branch were slim. I'd been half-heartedly browsing listings for weeks, but this one, with its stark brevity, piqued my curiosity. Bored and restless, I fired off an email. 40 minutes later, a reply pinged my inbox, an address in downtown Spokane and a precise time for my initial assessment. I showed up at a glee. By watching, I told myself I was protecting her, ensuring no harm came during my shifts. Months blurred into years, and my unease grew. Elise's routine, reading, watching television, painting became familiar, yet the periodic removals never ceased. I'd whisper to the screen, urging her to stay strong, knowing she couldn't hear me. Her paintings, always angled away from the camera, were a mystery, collected regularly by her escorts and replaced with fresh canvases. I longed to see her work, to understand what she poured into those hidden images. 3 months ago, everything changed. Elise began painting obsessively, her usual calm replaced by a feverish intensity. Her brush strokes were sharp, her posture rigid. In 4 days, she completed 6 paintings, an unprecedented pace. I'd grown accustomed to talking to her through the monitor, pleading for her to rest. One afternoon, she arranged 5 of the paintings on the sofa, facing the camera for the first time. They were breathtaking: a fog-shrouded canyon, a rusted windmill under a stormy sky, a lighthouse on a jagged cliff, a neon-lit arcade, and a meadow ringed by ancient trees. Each bore faint, swirling lines that, upon closer inspection, formed words, subtle, almost invisible unless you knew to look. My pulse quickened as I deciphered them, reading left to right, top to bottom. Rescue. Me. Daniel. Now. Please. I staggered back, my hand over my mouth. She knew my name. Was she speaking to me? The ceiling cameras unblinking I loomed above, and I forced myself to breathe. The silver button was for emergencies, but this wasn't a clear crisis. No visible harm, no immediate threat. The gold button was for notable events, disqualified, but pressing it felt like betraying her. If she was a prisoner, alerting my employers could endanger her further. Elise dismantled the display, glancing at the camera with a look that pierced me. It felt like a plea, a connection across an impossible divide. I couldn't ignore it. For the rest of my shift, I maintained a facade of normalcy, my mind racing. I'd never met coworkers, but I suspected others used the room. The water cooler emptied too quickly, the soap dispenser refilled too often. If I could find them, they might hold answers. After my shift, I drove around the block, then parked a quarter-mile from the building, hidden by a row of pines. I waited, my nerves fraying. 2 hours later, a lanky woman with cropped hair arrived, unlocking the door. I memorized her car's license plate, a beat-up sedan, and waited until her shift ended at dawn. As she approached her vehicle, I stepped out, my voice low. "Hey, can I talk to you?" She flinched, waving me off. "No cash, sorry." "Oh, hell." Her eyes widened, recognizing me. "You're from the job. We're not supposed to talk. Ever." I blocked her path. Harrow never mentioned that. She snorted, exasperated. "They don't tell you half the rules. I'm Nora Kessler. Been here 9 years. People disappear for less than this. Keep your head down, or you're gone." She warned that our conversation was likely monitored, her voice trembling with fear. Shoving past me, she climbed into her car and sped off. Her words chilled me, but I couldn't back down. Elise needed me. I drove home, my plan crystallizing. I break the rules, smuggle my phone into the surveillance room, record the feed, and send it to every news outlet, blogger, and police department I could find. It was reckless, but it was all I had. As I fumbled with my apartment key, a voice stopped me cold. "Daniel." I spun, my knees buckling. It was her. Elise. I gasped, clutching the door frame. She smiled, soft and hesitant. "I like that name. I'm actually Claire." She glanced down the hall. "Can we go inside?" My hand shook as I unlocked the door. Inside, we sat on my threadbare couch, and Claire's expression turned grave. "Daniel, you're part of a psychological study. I'm an actor, and I don't know the full scope, but it's likely funded by a government agency. They're testing your compliance, how you react to orders, fear, and moral dilemmas. You have buttons to press, right?" I nodded, dazed. "Silver and gold." She explained that my role was to watch her, a staged captive, to measure my choices. Harrow, Kessler, and others were actors in an elaborate script. The recent painting messages were a new phase, designed to push me. After my shift, Claire had seen me lingering outside, checked with a tech who showed her my reaction to the paintings, and followed me to confess. She'd broken protocol, worried I'd take the messages too seriously and spiral. Anger surged, hot and bitter. "So it's all a lie?" "The paintings." Claire's face fell. "I don't paint. They're crafted beforehand." "I'm sorry." She admitted she'd nearly left, prioritizing her job, but seeing me confront Kessler pushed her to act. "I couldn't let you suffer." I stood, turning away to hide my tears. "Thanks for the heads up. I need to process this." Her hand grazed my shoulder. "You're a good person, Daniel. Most wouldn't risk what you did for a stranger." She urged me to continue the job, feigned concern to avoid suspicion, and quit later. "In 3 months, we can meet again, outside this mess. If you're interested." My heart fluttered despite my hurt. "Yeah, I'd like that." She outlined a plan. Work another month, save money, then quit. She'd follow a month later. "For months from tonight, I'll come here. We'll start fresh." With a brief hug, she left, and I collapsed, exhausted. I overslept, my alarm blaring for 40 minutes, and rushed to work, determined to play my part. At the surveillance room, I watched Claire, knowing she wasn't Elise, with a lighter heart. The charade was draining, but the prospect of seeing her again kept me focused. She painted, her performance flawless, and I marveled at her skill. Near the end of my shift, she displayed a new painting, a colossal tree with sapphire bark and amber leaves, its branches alive with movement. Hidden in the foliage were words. "That woman isn't me." Claire stared at the camera, her eyes wide with terror. My stomach dropped. The woman I'd met wasn't Elise. The real Elise was still trapped. Panic clawed at me. If Claire was a fake, they'd sent her. They knew about the paintings, my questions, my failure to press a button. I paced, glancing at Elise on the monitor, hoping for guidance. She lay on the bed, her back to the camera, shoulders shaking as if sobbing. I had to act. Grabbing my phone from the locker, I re-entered the room and hit record. "I'm Daniel Thornton. My job is watching a woman trapped in a room. This isn't a prank or a film, it's real. For 5 years, I've monitored her." I panned to the monitors, zooming on Elise. "She's in danger, and so am I. Please help her." Footsteps echoed in the locker room. I tried to send the video, but the screen flashed. No signal. Harrow entered with 2 burly men in dark suits. "No service here, Daniel. You should never need it if you follow the rules." They overpowered me, zip-tying my wrists and ankles, pulling a black hood over my head. I was carried out, tossed into what felt like a van, the floor cold and metallic. A voice, Harrow's, promised explanations at our destination. A sharp sting in my neck followed, and the world faded. I woke on a cushioned table in a spacious room, my mouth dry, head throbbing. Harrow sat nearby, a pistol in his lap. "You're a determined one, Daniel." "I admire that. I'll be candid. Elise is in the next room." I staggered to the door, entering a chamber filled with humming machines and a tall cylinder of murky liquid. Inside floated Elise's body, preserved yet lifeless, her skin pale and unnatural. I lunged at Harrow, but he fired a stun gun, dropping me. Strapped back to the table, I glared as he spoke. "That's Elise, the real Elise. No tricks now, only truth." He explained that Elise had been a remote viewer, gifted with the ability to see distant places. Recruited at 15 through a paid psychological study, she painted her visions, yielding critical intelligence. An experimental implant amplified her gift, allowing her to see across time, but it destabilized her. 9 years ago, she painted, "Rescue me, Daniel, now please." Harrow's team investigated, suspecting she was reaching out to a future Daniel. He launched the Daniel Initiative, hiring dozens of men named Daniel to watch Elise's footage, analyzing their reactions. I was unique. I'd called the imposter Elise, confirming I was her target. Her true name was Elise Marrow. They needed me to view her final 6 days of footage, believing her last paintings held vital clues. I resisted, but Harrow insisted the video would play regardless. I watched, unable to abandon her. Her paintings, a bus depot with seat numbers 3, 52, 17, 94, a cavern with a shadowed figure, and intertwined hands on a tundra porch baffled me, their meanings elusive. Harrow revealed they'd implanted a fragment from a mythical tree in me, the same one that had been in Elise. It began to hum in my mind, a delicate melody guiding me. Lights flickered out, doors clicked open, and I fled, following Elise's paintings to a ravine, a hidden grotto, and a bus station in Montana. There, I found the tree, its roots glowing with golden light, and entered its tunnels. The tunnels wove through other worlds. One basement bore the number 3. Another, with 52, held a sledgehammer. In a third, I found another Elise, imprisoned by a deceitful lover. We shattered her cell's wall, escaped, and stepped into a new dawn, hands clasped. Elise had seen beyond her world, guiding me to save her counterpart, securing our freedom. "You have a delivery scheduled. The Singing Grove." I've been driving through an unending tunnel for nearly 12 hours now, somewhere in the depths of an unknown mountain range. I found a fleeting moment of signal, barely 1 bar, and I'm clinging to it, praying this post reaches someone. My situation is desperate. My fuel is nearly gone, my phone battery is fading, and my supplies are dwindling to a bag of gummy worms, a pack of pretzels, 2 energy drinks, and a liter of water. Let me explain how I ended up here. I'm a wanderer at heart, always chasing the open road across the United States. Long drives through desolate stretches are my escape, where I can lose myself in the rhythm of the journey. I've crisscrossed the country before, but this trip is different. I'm traveling from Seattle, Washington, to Minneapolis, Minnesota, a route I've never taken, opting for the interstates to cut through Idaho, Montana, and North Dakota. The drive started uneventfully. The vast emptiness of the plains and mountains is familiar to me. I can go hours without seeing another soul. I'd been on the road for 3 days, sleeping in my car at rest stops or parking lots. Last night, I camped out at a supermarket lot in Bozeman, Montana, after a grueling 15-hour drive. I stopped only for gas, quick snacks, and bathroom breaks, grabbing a late-night burger at a drive-thru before passing out. I'm detailing everything because I'm hoping this is all a hallucination from exhaustion or poor diet. I know I should rest and eat better, but when I'm driving, I get lost in the freedom of it. The road is where I feel alive, where my thoughts fade into the hum of the engine. This morning, I woke at dawn, around 5:30 a.m. local time, and hit the road after grabbing a muffin and coffee at a small diner. I stocked up on energy drinks, a liter of water, and some jerky at a gas station, then continued east. 6 hours later, the energy drinks caught up with me, and I pulled into a rundown gas station near Miles City, Montana. It was a weathered outpost with 2 pumps and a creaky wooden store. Inside, the clerk, a grizzled man named Earl, looked startled when the door's bell chimed. I asked for a restroom, and he smirked, sliding over a key attached to a chipped plank labeled outhouse. He pointed to a door at the back. The bathroom was filthy, but I managed, returning the key to Earl, who eyed me curiously. "Where you headed?" he asked, his voice rough. I told him Minneapolis, and when he asked why, I shrugged. "Just to see it, I guess." He studied me for a long moment, then leaned in, his voice low. "If you've got time, there's a hidden route through the hills up north. Locals call it the Whispering Path." Earl described a scenic drive through Montana's lesser-known ridges, dotted with overlooks and steeped in local tales, stories of vanished hikers, secret gatherings, and eerie legends about travelers who took the path and were never seen again. It wasn't the stories that drew me, it was the chance to connect with a place only locals knew. I love finding those hidden gems, the spots that hold fragments of human stories. They make me feel tethered to something bigger. Earl's directions were vague. Drive east on Interstate 94 for an hour, then look for a gravel road on the right, impossible to miss. If I didn't find it, I'd keep going. I bought some snacks, gummy worms, pretzels, and 2 energy drinks, filled my tank, and grabbed a pack of clove cigarettes. My sister would lose it if she knew I was smoking in my car, but she doesn't understand these trips. Montana's landscape was a sea of rolling grasslands, stretching endlessly under a gray sky. Interstate 94 cut through fields that seemed to defy boundaries, their edges spilling onto the road. After 2 hours, I spotted it, a gravel road breaking the monotony to my right, just as Earl described. I felt a thrill, not hesitation, as I turned onto it, imagining the locals who'd traveled this path before me. The road wound through fields before climbing into low hills. The gravel gave way to cracked asphalt, and I ascended, the views unfolding into a patchwork of greens and golds. I stopped at a few overlooks, lighting a cigarette and soaking in the solitude. The road was unremarkable, scattered with empty cans and bottles, but the isolation was perfect. Then I entered the tunnel. It seemed ordinary at first, a common feature of mountain roads carved through rock. The tunnel was dark, lit by flickering yellow bulbs every few yards. I drove for 20 minutes, noticing the tunnel's length but not yet alarmed. Then the lights grew sparse, every 50 yards, then 100, then none. My headlights pierced the blackness, but no exit appeared. After an hour, unease set in. This was no ordinary tunnel. I decided to turn back, the darkness pressing against my chest, stirring old fears of confinement. I made a tight U-turn, my sedan barely managing it, and drove back the way I came. But after 2 hours, there was no sign of the entrance, no lights, no opening. The tunnel stretched on endlessly. I checked my phone, no signal. Who would I call anyway? My sister, who'd scold me for chasing a stranger's directions. I have no close ties back home. I've always been a loner. I left Seattle without telling anyone, as I always do. Would anyone notice I was gone? Panic crept in, but I kept driving. My sedan was fuel efficient, still at half a tank, and my music kept me grounded. 3 hours later, my gas was critically low. I was desperate. Then, a miracle, a single bar of signal flashed on my phone. I braked hard, inching backward to hold the connection. I tried calling my sister, but the call failed, the signal too weak. Tears stung my eyes as I leaned against the steering wheel, refusing to accept I was trapped. I climbed onto my car's roof, hoping for a stronger signal. Nothing. Then I heard it, a faint sound, like a stifled laugh. I froze, straining to listen. It came again, louder, like a group of kids shouting playfully in the distance. My heart leaped. Other people meant a way out. "Hey!" I shouted, my voice echoing off the stone walls. Silence followed, heavy and unnatural. The air grew still, the tunnel's faint whistle gone. Then, footsteps, hundreds of them, thundering from both directions. The ground shook, my car swaying as pebbles rattled. Terror seized me. I scrambled off the roof, diving into the driver's seat and locking the doors. I reclined the seat, pressing myself flat, willing myself invisible. The shaking stopped. Silence returned. I lay there for hours, trembling, tears drying on my cheeks. What was that? I'm still here, typing this at 3 a.m., 12 hours into this nightmare. Writing it out is keeping me sane, grounding me. Can anyone help me understand where I am? What's happening? Why does this tunnel keep stretching? Did Earl know something? Am I losing my mind from hunger and fatigue? I can't drive much longer. My gas is almost gone, and my phone won't last without charging. I'm rationing my snacks and water, smoking to calm my nerves. Please, if you have any ideas, share them. I'll update if anything changes, assuming I can post again. I'm alive, still in this oppressive tunnel. Thank you for your comments. They're a lifeline, making me feel less isolated. Some suggested Earl might have tampered with my snacks or cigarettes, causing hallucinations. I clung to that hope, praying I'd wake up somewhere else, that this was all a drug-induced dream. But I woke up at 5 p.m., still here, the same dread weighing on me. No hallucination. I fell asleep around 9 a.m., too scared to close my eyes all night. I woke with a jolt, my chronic nightmares blurring with reality. I don't think anything external caused it, just my usual terror. Many of you said turning around was a mistake. If Earl's words were literal, I need to keep going where I need to go. Maybe the tunnel extended to trap me when I turned back. So, I faced forward again, driving toward the unknown. My gas was below a quarter tank. I found a portable charger in my glove box, a small mercy, letting me stay connected to you all. Every 10 miles, I'd hit a fleeting signal bar, just enough to check your messages. When my gas ran out, my sedan sputtered to a stop after 3 hours of driving, near where I'd turned around before. I knew what came next, though I dreaded it. I had to walk. The tunnel wanted me vulnerable, without my car's protection. I packed a backpack, my snacks, water, energy drinks, charger, a jacket, a blanket, a notebook, a pen, a flashlight, extra batteries, a flare, my cigarettes, and a lighter. I sat for ages, summoning the courage to step out. Counting down from 10, I opened the door and stepped into the cold, damp tunnel. The wind's haunting whistle surrounded me. My flashlight barely cut through the dark, illuminating a small circle ahead. I started walking, aiming for the next signal spot, about 7 miles away, a 3-hour trek. Every sound made me jump, pebbles skittering, water dripping, my own footsteps. I swung my flashlight constantly, glancing behind me, feeling watched. After an hour, I stopped to adjust my boot. My flashlight slipped, rolling across the tunnel and hitting the opposite wall with a clank. Its beam lit up a shape, a dark, elongated figure pressed against the rock, humanoid but distorted, face to the wall. I gasped but pretended not to see it, recalling the footsteps from before. I grabbed the flashlight and hurried forward, heart pounding. Was it following me? I reached the signal spot, wrapping myself in my blanket and sitting against the wall. Reading your comments calmed me. Then I noticed I was humming, a habit from childhood. The tune echoed faintly from the direction I'd come. I stopped, but the humming continued, gritty and unnatural, like something mimicking me. More voices joined, from both directions, a distorted chorus repeating my melody. Panic surged. I pictured monstrous shapes, human-like or beastly, closing in. I turned off my flashlight, pulled the blanket over my head, and curled up, breathing slowly to stay calm. The ground trembled, wind roared, then silence. A single set of footsteps approached, slow and deliberate. They stopped above me. I felt it lean down, heard its ragged breathing, liquid dripping onto my blanket. I braced for the end, regretting every mistake I'd made, every bridge I'd burned. Somehow, I fell asleep. A harsh wake-up jolted me awake, echoing in my mind. I peeked from under the blanket, seeing nothing. My flashlight revealed no figures, but my blanket was speckled with dark, wet stains, blood. Maybe. It's 1 a.m. I'm about to walk to the next signal spot. I don't know if confronting these things will free me or doom me. Are they spirits, trapped souls, or something worse? Has anyone heard of a tunnel like this? Your words are keeping me grounded. Please, share any ideas on what to do next. I hope I can post again. The Shadows of Hollowfield. My name is Ethan Carver, and for the past 13 years, I've been haunted by a single image on Google Maps. A house in the quiet village of Hollowfield, nestled in the rolling hills of Vermont. I won't share the exact coordinates. Not unless you're prepared for something to stare back at you from the void. It began in 2012, when I was 16, aimlessly exploring satellite views of far-off places. Hollowfield was a speck on the map, a cluster of homes surrounded by sprawling fields and dense woods. I don't know why I lingered there, but my cursor stopped on a modest, 2-story house with a backyard that caught my eye. A long, T-shaped shadow stretched across the grass, stark against the sunlit lawn. It reminded me of a scarecrow, arms outstretched, guarding the garden. But something about it felt off. Satellite images are usually taken at high noon to minimize shadows, so people, or their shades, are rarely visible. This couldn't be a person standing with arms spread wide. A scarecrow made more sense, yet the shape was too precise, too deliberate. I brushed it off, my teenage attention span flitting to the next distraction. The house faded from my mind. 4 years later, in 2016, I was catching up with my friend Maya over coffee in Burlington. We got to talking about internet mysteries, vanishing websites, cryptic videos, and I remembered that strange shadow in Hollowfield. On a whim, I pulled up Google Maps on my phone and found the house. My breath caught. The garden had changed. There were now 2 T-shaped shadows, one as long as before, the other half its size, like a child standing beside an adult. Maya leaned over, her brow furrowing. That's weird. This is just a suburban house, right? Not part of those fields. Why would they need scarecrows? I shrugged, the unease creeping in. Maybe it's art or something. Garden sculptures? She didn't buy it, and neither did I. Our conversation veered elsewhere, dulled by the late hour and a few beers, but the image lingered in my mind like a splinter. In 2019, Maya brought it up again during a visit to my apartment. Remember that creepy house you showed me? The one with the shadows. Her tone was playful, but her eyes held a flicker of unease. We pulled up Google Maps, and my stomach dropped. The second shadow had grown, now matching the first in size. 2 identical T-shapes, side by side, cast across the lawn. The sight hit me like a cold wave. For the first time, I felt afraid, truly afraid, of those shadows. Maya's forced laugh didn't hide her discomfort. Looks like the little scarecrow grew up, she said, her voice tight. I didn't respond. The word scarecrow felt wrong, like a lie we told ourselves to avoid the truth. Maya held up her phone, showing a route from my place to Hollowfield. It's only 45 minutes away. Don't you want to know what's really in that yard? No way, I said, shaking my head. Something's not right about this. Come on, Ethan. You've been obsessed with this for years. Let's go see it. Her persistence was relentless, and despite every instinct screaming at me to stay put, I found myself in her car, the Vermont countryside blurring past as we drove toward Hollowfield. The house was unremarkable in person, a faded colonial with chipped white paint, surrounded by towering hedges that blocked any view of the backyard. The village was silent, the kind of quiet that swallows sound. A few scattered homes lined the winding road, but they felt distant, as if the house existed in its own pocket of reality. My skin prickled, urging me to turn back. "How are we supposed to see anything?" I asked, eyeing the 8-foot hedges. "We can't just climb over." Maya grinned, popping the trunk of her car. Inside was a drone, its sleek frame glinting in the fading light. My stomach churned. Snooping with a drone felt invasive, dangerous even, but trespassing was worse. Reluctantly, I nodded. Maya launched the drone, its hum breaking the silence as it soared over the house. We huddled over her tablet, watching the live feed. As the garden came into view, my heart stopped. The shadows weren't cast by scarecrows or statues. 2 figures were bound to wooden crosses, their arms and legs secured with thick rope. The larger figure was a woman, her limbs replaced with straw protruding from tattered clothing. The smaller figure, an adolescent boy, writhed weakly, his eyes locking onto the drone. Carved into the boy's chest, through his torn shirt and skin, was a single word, blood-crusted and raw: seed. The woman's torso bore another: sinner. I choked back a sob, my knees buckling. "Maya, we have to call the police." Now, before she could respond, a deafening crack split the air, a gunshot. The drone's feed cut out, and we saw it plummet into the garden. Through the house's upstairs window, a silhouette moved, broad and menacing. The curtains parted, revealing the glint of a rifle barrel. "Run!" I screamed, shoving Maya toward the car. We scrambled inside, and she floored the gas, tires screeching as we sped away. I braced for another shot, for the window to shatter or Maya to slump over the wheel. But nothing came. The house receded in the rearview mirror, its silence more terrifying than any sound. 20 minutes later, we pulled into a gas station, both of us shaking. "What the hell was that?" Maya gasped, tears streaming down her face. "We need to call the cops," I said, fumbling for my phone. But Maya shook her head. "We have to go back. What if they're destroying evidence? We need proof." "Ethan, are you insane?" "We saw a gun. We're not going back." My voice cracked, but Maya's resolve was unshakable. She argued we had a narrow window to act before the homeowner covered their tracks. I refused, insisting we let the police handle it. While I went inside to pay for gas, Maya made her choice. When I stepped out, her car was gone. I called her repeatedly, but she didn't answer. Panic set in. I dialed 911, spilling the story: drone, crosses, bound figures, gunshot. The dispatcher promised to send officers to the house. The police searched the property but found nothing: no crosses, no victims, no drone wreckage. The homeowner, a reclusive widower named Harold Grayson, claimed he'd seen no one, heard nothing. I showed them the Google Maps image, but Grayson dismissed it as outdated, saying he'd removed old garden decorations months ago. The police checked gas station footage, confirming Maya and I had been there, but they chalked her absence up to a fight, suggesting she'd cool off and return. She didn't. Days turned to weeks, then months. The police investigated Grayson's property again, but found no trace of Maya or the horrors we'd seen. The case went cold, buried under the weight of the 2020 pandemic. Desperate, I dug into Hollowfield's history. Local news archives mentioned 2 disappearances in 2011, a woman and her teenage son, new to the area after moving from New Hampshire. A private community Facebook group revealed more. The woman had been an outsider, shunned by Hollowfield's tight-knit residents for stealing a local widower's heart. The parallels were chilling, but the police dismissed my theories, claiming the cases were unrelated. Then, in 2020, the notes began. Slipped through my mailbox in the dead of night, written in a jagged scrawl. "I see you watching. They're gone forever. Come back, and you'll be next." The 4th. I stopped leaving my apartment, fear chaining me to my couch. The word fourth gnawed at me. At first, I thought it was a typo, meant to be fourth. But in 2023, I checked Google Maps again, driven by a sick need to know. The latest satellite image showed 3 T-shaped shadows in Grayson's garden. I knew the third was Maya. I want to go back, to find her, to expose whatever Grayson is hiding. But the thought of facing that house, of becoming the fourth shadow, paralyzes me. I check my windows daily, half expecting to see Grayson's silhouette in the street. How he found my address, I'll never know. Those shadows aren't decorations. They're warnings. And somewhere in Hollowfield, something is still watching.